So if you think you're losing right now, you're not losing. If you're thinking, oh, I'm going a bad direction, you're not going a bad direction. If you're thinking, oh man, things are not working out the way you want them to work out, maybe that's the way you want to be worked out. But whoever created you, whatever purpose was meant for you, is working itself out. You know what I mean? I've got my heart broken a lot of times. These jobs that I thought, I'm gonna be in, there's friends that I've lost. There's enemies that I befriended, and then there's friends that became enemies because I'm thinking, this is how it's gonna work. This is how it's gonna be. But then it's not. All that innocent, all that pays off.
This good guy.
It's October. More life, more wealth, more health, and a peace of mind. Man, I'm out here. It's not even in nature or nothing like that. It's just at the park. I brought these kiddos, Tino's out there playing. But anyways, people are looking at me because I was meditating up there like, man, what is he doing? And one thing, before we start this video, I'll tell you, in life, people are always going to be wondering what you're doing. And it's either you're going to do you, or you're going to try to fit into what people are doing, Let me sit down real quick. Man, as I was sitting down here, doing what I do, I thought about something, like something, it kind of came to me, and I thought, let me just talk about it right now before I forget about it. But you know what's crazy? You have to be lost to be found. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be lost to be found. Meaning, I'll use an example for me. When I moved out to America, I had my life planned out. I had a lot of things that, I was gonna do this. Even as a kid, I'm gonna try to be popular. I'm gonna try to date these kind of girls. This is the girl I'm gonna fall in love with. This is how my life is gonna turn out. And honestly, I had to try many different things to figure out where I'm going even today. You get what I'm saying? Like, we're so taught with the movies, like things we watch, or when we watch other people and don't understand what they've been through to get to a certain place. Me, as trying to be a motivational speaker and a guy who talk about life and breeding dogs, when I first really got into the business part of it, I met people and and I'm thinking, man, their life is perfect. Man, they just made it. Oh, they got lucky. But then when you start talking to these individuals, like personally, you start learning the wins and losses, that they had to try a million times, that they wanted to go left and then they ended up right. And and I thought about myself like, man, I always knew what girl I was gonna marry, which I didn't. I'm married to somebody different. I always knew what career I was gonna do, which is different, and that I'm not doing. Even on my YouTube, I was like, it's all just gonna be about dogs. And the way I spoke, a lot of people started doing that thing of, man, you be a good motivational speaker. Man, I like the way you interpreted things and show them. And now this is what I do. So even with you, I say this, like, figure out what you want to do. Sometimes, you have a plan on what you want to do, and it might not be what is meant for you, You might get in something and thinking, oh, I'm gonna be a carpenter, and then you end up being an engineer. Or you might get in and say, I'm gonna be an engineer, but I'm gonna be, and then you end up being a carpenter, meaning there's a thing, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know a lot about Indians, but Indians do this thing when you I guess you go into the wilderness and go find yourself. You know what I'm saying? You go into the wilderness and go figure out who you are. And that's the thing about life. So if you think you're losing right now, you're not losing. If you're thinking, oh, I'm going a bad direction, you're not going a bad direction. If you're thinking, oh man, things are not working out the way you want them to work out, maybe that's the way you want to be worked out. But whoever created you, whatever purpose was meant for you, is working itself out. You know what I mean? I've got my heart broken a lot of times. These jobs that I thought, I'm gonna be in, these friends that I've lost. There's enemies that I befriended, and then there's friends that became enemies because I'm thinking, this is how it's gonna work. This is how it's gonna be. But then it's not, Like my story in South Africa, man, like I know I use this a lot, but we were younger, and I remember my father's parents were well off, and they had a lot of things. And then when we moved and I was in a different environment, something that I'm not used to, I was kind of like, whoa, what is this, And I was always depressed, like, oh man, I'm gonna be here forever. And we lived in somebody else's house for a little bit, so I was always like, man, I'm stuck here. I had no honestly belonging because I was a kid on one street and I used to play on the other street, and the kids on the other street sometimes would be like, what are you doing? Aren't you from the other side? So like I was always lost. And you fast forward now, all the stuff I was going through then, I went through a boarding school. I was by myself over there. It was preparing me for this. And then, what I went through over here was preparing me for another stage. So that's how life is. You got to get lost in it. You got to try different ideas. You got to see what works for you. You got to see, where you belong, because sometimes you got to be where you think you need to be and figure out that's not where you're supposed to be. And then it'll lead you to where you're supposed to be. Then you will be, comfortable. Sometimes, like if you're a good kid, you got to go to the streets and see people get, banged out, people's stuff gets stolen, you get checked, to see that you're not really a gangster, so that when you go back to the normal life, you have more value, like, what? This is where I'm supposed to be. A lot of us get discouraged. A lot of us end up with mental issues. A lot of us, don't even listen too, especially when it's telling you, the universe is saying, okay, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And, you get in trouble, or you lose somebody, or you lose some money, or, like if it keeps telling you and you don't listen, then it's not going to work out. But learn to listen. This is why I meditate. This is why I got into this. This is why I ground my feet. This is why I listen to other people. And this is why I wanted to be a motivational speaker, because I'm empathetic to other people. Like, I feel for other people, and I always find myself trying to help them, and I never know how to. And this is another way of me doing it. But you need to listen. You need to listen. When the signs are there, warning, stop, don't go, don't go. When the signs are there, man, there's a big hole, you will fall, don't go. But some of us will fall in the hole, we'll get burned, we'll get cut, we'll lose a leg, we'll lose an arm, and then we're worried about, this, I don't fit in here, and you're trying to force it, and then it's too late, it's too late. Like me, I always wanted to be an artist, when I was young, when I moved out here, because I wrote poetry, and I thought, doing poetry, doing rap, doing things like that, I want to do that. But then there were all signs pushing to something else, and I stopped, and now I found my dream, like everything I'm doing now. But some people I know are still, are still doing the, rapping, still trying to be what they're not, still trying to fit in, still trying to force it. They're getting older, they ain't in their 40s, and they don't have a lot of things, and they keep pushing it. And that's not finding your way. That's being lost and being lost forever. So don't be that person. Don't be that person who gets lost forever. Don't be that person who doesn't listen. Don't be that person who doesn't see the warning sign. Don't be that person who is not open to different things. Get lost to be found. You know what I'm saying? So don't be discouraged. Whatever you're going through now, it'll make sense in the end. Wherever you at now, keep walking, keep running, keep swimming, and it'll make sense. Don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe, notification, and remember, it's Zulu Nation, baby.
Halala, halala sanbongela, halala, halala sanbongela we. Halala, halala sanbongela, halala, halala sanbongela.